here is my review of Happy Death Day. First of all, I'm a teeny bit confused. I'm pretty sure that it's intentional that the story can't actually happen. The whole thing is fictional, even though it's portrayed like it's really real and it's really believable and it is something that would actually happen. If you've seen Groundhog Day, then this is like a modern day version of that film. The irony is they actually spend time in the very last scene making reference to Groundhog Day. My thoughts on that are that they've done that because they have pretty much ripped off the concept of that original film, so they might as well own it and credit the other film in the dialogue in this film. So fair play to them for putting their hands in the air and saying, yep, we blatantly stole your plot. Obviously not the plot, but the gist of repeating the same day over and over for the entire duration of a movie. For that reason, I was nervous about going to see this film because Groundhog Day is quite possibly my least favourite film that I have ever watched, because the repetitiveness of it was intolerable. It was so boring watching the same scenes over and over. The great thing about this film is that every time they replay the same day, they do it like ever so slightly differently.
This isn't gonna make any sense.
Stop global warming?
Hey. I feel like I'm losing my mind.
You sneaky little biatch. Happy birthday.
I've already lived through this day.
Somebody's gonna kill me tonight.
You relive the same day over and over again. Kind of start to see who you really are.
So it's nowhere near as hard to watch as Groundhog Day was. In fact, this was quite a pleasure to watch. The story in this film, they don't give it to you in chronological order in the movie, but I will put it in chronological order to make sense of it for you now. The main character, I think her name is like Tree, she lost her mum several years ago. She is at high school in America in one of these sort of shared houses with a load of other girls where they're all really bitchy. Not a particularly endearing character, I have to say. In fact, highly irritating as a character. Not someone you'd want to be friends with, I kind of imagine, but the kind of person that when you're at school you kind of look at them and think, I wish I was her because no one's ever going to walk all over her. That kind of person.
It's your birthday. Stop global warming.
So she is very unhappy in herself, and I think that's what feeds her persona. The pain of losing her mother has turned her into this hardened, can't break through, not going to let anything else hurt me, nothing's going to hurt as bad as that, so keep myself completely closed off to you. So that's kind of her defense mechanism, her coping strategy. And so she's just kind of going through life with this really sour attitude. The repeated day is basically her reliving her death by murder over and over again. The concept behind the film is that she replays that death experience until she learns all the right things that she needs to know about being a good person and a kind person and forgiveness and healing and morals and going through life dealing with trauma in a good way rather than a bad way. There is an underlying message in there that is actually really positive and very pro good adolescent message. However, it's wrapped up in a psychopathic, murderous horror movie. So you've got this really wholesome message being brought to you in this really disturbing way. It's all a bit bizarre, really. And obviously there is no way that if she was legitimately being murdered, she would then relive her day over again. That's it, she'd be gone. So you're left wondering, is it kind of a dream or... But I think by the end of the film it isn't, and so then that's what leads me to believe it's a fiction film. It's all a bit... So the concept of the film is quite confusing in that you can't overanalyze that. You just have to take it for what it is, and you just have to take the messages and extract what they're trying to give you from a story that doesn't really make much sense and couldn't really possibly happen. That was my interpretation of that part of the film. The actual kind of chronology of the story is that she wakes up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, it's her birthday, she has the most irritating ringtone, and so by the time the film finishes you've heard that ringtone countless times, and it is just really, it gets under your skin, it's not very pleasant. She wakes up after sort of like having a night in a lad's dorm room. She doesn't know if she slept with him or not. She's really hostile towards him.
Oh, hey, you're up.
Am I in a dorm room?
Yeah, I folded your pants for you.
Great.
Progressively, as the film goes on, the relationship deepens with him because she has then experienced that situation over and over again. She softens and she realises that she doesn't need to be nasty to him. She doesn't need to treat him like crap. That's actually not serving her.
Assuming that I believe any of this is even possible.
Sprinklers? Car alarm?
The way I see it, you have unlimited amount of lives. Unlimited opportunities to solve your own murder.
So I'm supposed to keep dying until I figure out who my killer is?
And I found that probably the most powerful part of the film. The idea that if you were given the opportunity to replay a particular day of your life over and over again, how many times would you have to replay it until you had done the best you possibly could with that day? And I was blown away by that thought. I kind of thought, if you took a normal day, just today, like a really like random nondescript day, and you replayed that over and over and over, could you kind of do anything magical with a normal day? And then if you took the day that you regret the most, for example, in life, and you replayed that day over again, what would you get from it? And I'm sitting there in this film, kind of like drifting off into my own head thinking, whoa, just imagine if you could actually do that. So I took some stuff from this film that, although on face value, so it seems like a really trashy teen film, there was some stuff in there that was really big and powerful that I was quite impressed by, actually. Some of the less great bits were the dialogue used between the peers, like the way the girls talked to each other was just so cringy and not very pleasant that you wouldn't be able to sort of put up with them for very long, and you certainly wouldn't want to be part of that group.
Sneaky little biatch. Maybe you should switch to water next time. Super helpful. Don't be late to the party tonight.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
The point at which the lead role takes it upon herself to confront her murderer is ridiculous. You've got this 17, 18-year-old girl who's quite deeply emotional underneath it all, suddenly turns into this kind of like powerhouse who's going to go on and take on this murderer with like, you know, knives and guns and whatever, and you kind of think, and when you watch the film you'll know what I mean, it kind of leapt from semi-serious into complete piss take, and I thought, I hate it when films do that. If you're actually doing well and you're platforming yourself at one level, don't suddenly try and turn it into a comedy when actually you've got the buy-in and the seriousness. Yeah, I really, really can't bear it when films do that, because you're really in it and then they go and flick it into something really unbelievable and you just think, oh come on, that's just ruined it now. So that was the point where I thought, oh, that's just failed it for me. The murderer was wearing, I think it was like a baby mask. it kind of reminded me, there was a film years ago, I don't know, I just thought that mask has been done before. It was a bit creepy, but it could have been way worse.
You scared me.
I didn't think they necessarily got the creepiness of the murderer right. I thought her acting at the point of like fear was really quite good. Sometimes when you sort of see these things and there are kind of like scenes where someone's about to be murdered or something really traumatic happens, the acting falls to pieces and you think, well, come on, let's be real here. If I were about to be murdered, I would be going crazy and my screams would sound shrill and I would be beside myself. She nailed that. She got that. I think she did that in quite a believable way, and I think that is what helped make this film feel real. You didn't at any point see the murderer. He had a real air of like, you don't know what's going on. She was really good when it really mattered.
Hey, you're up.
Her process of reliving this day and trying to work out who was murdering her and constantly getting it wrong, and so then getting another chance and eventually getting it right, gave her the opportunity to work through all her issues. So by the end of the film, she was a really kind of like well-adjusted person. I quite liked the underlying message in the film. Like, everyone in the cinema thought the film had ended. We thought we knew who the murderer was, and people were actually getting up to leave, and then you realise who the murderer was. And I thought that was really clever. I thought they did that really well because it did catch you out. You weren't quite expecting it. That was great, and again really added to the film.
All units, we've got a 187.
One thing I didn't understand, if one of her friends died, she said that when she finally got to the end of the process, those friends would no longer be alive. So when it came to this guy in the dorm room and him being tangled up in the murder scene, he nearly died, and so she changed the course of that to protect him. Yet when the film was finally over, all the people that had happened to were all still alive. So I thought, why did you make a fuss about having to alter the way that scene worked and his death and whether he died or not, obviously wanting to keep him alive when actually everybody stayed alive? So there was an inconsistency. And I spot those kinds of things, and that annoyed me. So the film leaves you with questions. Questions about yourself, questions about the concept, questions about, have you fully understood the film? It was entertaining. There was a huge amount of psychological content running through this film. I actually probably would rate this film a solid 3 out of 5, and if I was feeling nice, if I was teaching a room full of psychology students and I wanted to give them something upbeat and lighthearted to watch, but give them loads of points for discussion on psychology terms, I would throw this in there, because I think there was enough meat to this that actually made that possible. It's such a shame that the director didn't take some scenes more seriously, because I think he could have pulled it out of the bag if he had it done. But maybe that's not what he was going for. Maybe he wanted like a trashy teen movie. But I don't think he did himself justice by doing that. If you like this film review, give it a thumbs up. If you've seen the film and you think that this is accurate or inaccurate, then leave your comments below. It'd be really great to see how you've interpreted the film. And if you want to see more of this, then subscribe to the channel. I just want to give a YouTube channel a bit of a shout out here. I watched ... gave me some feedback on my first film review, and I was stoked because I've seen his channel and he gives amazing film reviews, and if you like film reviews and you haven't seen his channel, definitely go over there and look at it. Yeah, it was brilliant to be noticed by somebody that has got a far bigger channel than me, so thanks ever so much, and that has actually given me the encouragement to make my second film review and know that I'm sort of semi-okay at doing this. So thank you, appreciate your input, and I will look forward to seeing you all soon.